Every little thing you do, it gets me thinking. By another shot, you got me drinking. Girl, you shut me down and there's no witness. Got me in my feels, she would never listen.
What are you going to do when hip-hop goes out?
Hip-hop is an attitude. It's right here. It's how you feel. It's a style. So it can go out.
Good morning, guys. What's going on? Let me make some adjustments. Give me a sound check. Quick sound check. Nice beats. Yeah, I don't know what I put on first. I put on that no copyright playlist, and there's always a live stream playing, and it's like hit or miss. Sometimes I turn it on and it's in the middle of a decent set, and then other times it just sounds like things that music I tried to leave in my past with my clubbing days. Sound is good. Cool. What's going on? Do I have the full screen? Let's see. What is going on? Why is it set up like that? Oh, wrong way. Oh, that's interesting. It's actually grouped somewhat, but no, we want this set up. Cool. What's going on? Good morning. Give everyone a second to join in. Let me adjust my camera. I gotta aim it more this way. Ooh, up close and personal. Getting to know each other. Buy me a drink first. Yeah. Music and sound audible good. Good morning, good morning. All right, let's give it a minute. I just reshared the link, so we'll give that a second. How you guys doing? How was the last, I guess, 24 hours for everybody? I feel like this is a short setting up in the NQ, but we'll give it a second. I don't want to rush anything. We had positive earnings this morning. Bank earnings came through. I think NVIDIA was upgraded, new all-time high by NVIDIA. I think BlackRock is down. Earnings per share up, but I don't remember the exact details. Either way, market jumping off the open right away. So the NQ and the ES up. All right, let me make an adjustment real quick, because in the chat I made the font too tiny. Appearance, text size, there we go. All right, okay, let's get started. I'll say hi to everybody in a second. It is Friday, so it's Friday, July 14th. Fridays tend to be pretty casual, so we have everything set up so that we could take trades during the stream. That is the goal of these streams. It's to be a live trading stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right after the NYSE open, so right during the New York session. As a reminder, none of this is financial advice. This is strictly for entertainment purposes only. Also, there is as you can see, it should be on the actual window. There is a promotion, right? This is a stream that is sponsored by Bybit. I've been partnered with Bybit now for a really long time. You guys know my opinion about Bybit. They're running a bunch of promotions still. They're going to give me specifically a new promotion to run. So the link is below. It is tradebybit.com. If you guys sign up in advance, just let me know, and I'll make sure to get you whatever promotion they come up with, whatever kind of bonus it is. Also, just to reiterate this is something that I've said many times on Twitter. You know, I share things to people that are outside of the United States, right? I have sort of a global reach by being on the internet. Everybody does. So Bybit is not available to people that trade in the United States. I'm sharing the platform. I'm partnered with the platform, but it's not available to trade by people in the United States who just have who just have residency in the United States. So if someone lives outside of the States, but is a United States citizen, but has residency somewhere else, or someone, has dual residencies, it's a different story. But if you're just a United States citizen, you can't KYC, and then you can't trade on the exchange. If you're looking for an exchange where you don't have to KYC, Phemex is still available. So it's, again, a link below as well. But yeah, shout out to Bybit. It's a phenomenal exchange. And I think that it's probably going to take the place of being #1 exchange in the upcoming bull market. I just think that Binance is going to suffer a little bit. And we're still sort of waiting for that to hit the tape. We're waiting for that other shoe to drop. Again, I don't know if I said this. This is not financial advice, strict for entertainment purposes only. I think we just hit 5,000 subs for this YouTube. So slowly but steadily growing the YouTube. I wasn't doing it consistently. Now I'm back to doing it consistently for the foreseeable future. I'll start putting out pre-recorded content again. I know a lot of you guys probably followed me on my other YouTube, myself and my still partner, Rager. We working on a side project right now. I think it should go live hopefully in the next week. But we have the Block Roots YouTube as well, which has like 20,000 followers, and this YouTube just hit 5. So I appreciate all of you guys who tune in. The YouTubes are growing. I appreciate all you guys who give me feedback on YouTube and Twitter. But let's get into it. So I mean, it's Friday. My daughter's christening is this week, or baptism, I should say. I don't even know what it is, honestly. My wife says it's like a ceremony. Anyway, my wife's a lot more like religious than I am in an organized sense. Her father is a pastor. I'm definitely, I would say that I believe in a higher power. I'm spiritual, but as you can tell, I don't have the jargon. I don't even know what's going on this week. I know we have a big tent in our backyard on Saturday. I'm pretty sure it's a baptism. Don't crucify me for forgetting the actual jargon. So, yeah, casual Friday stream. We're going to take a look at a few charts. I have the NASDAQ up. You know, NASDAQ really imbalanced move off the open. I guess we'll just point this out real quick. Then we'll get right into the XRP stuff. NASDAQ really imbalanced move right off of the open. I mean, you just have this single print right now. We had a little bit of a pullback into that level, but really just one directional right off of the open. This is something where when you're starting to extend, like when you see a profile, so for anyone who's using market profile, and again, the course is still available for free at blockroots.com. If anyone who doesn't know, wants to know more of what I'm talking about, is unfamiliar with this. So I guess it's tempting to see a profile in progress that just is, area of balance, followed by a tail, right, being printed and currently in progress. So before you had this second row of columns, it was basically a single column, full extension off the open, no development whatsoever, really imbalanced move. It's a combination of a bunch of things, right? Short liquidation, stops being blown out, just, complete one-sidedness by buyers. And it's left with you have a single column in progress. And more often than not, we know that it's not the case that things get left like that. So it's easy to start thinking, okay, so you have a single column. When are we going to start developing within here, right? I want to top tick this thing because I know it's unlikely that we just finish a profile without another area of balance. So whether it completely retraces, and that's just some kind of stop run or exhaustive move, or whether or not we form some kind of double distribution or variation of a balanced profile. So it's easy to start looking for the top tick, thinking that this can't just be left like this. It has to be cleaned up. We have to establish value, anywhere, between the high now is 830 and all the way back down to, the next area of singles is 68 and then 40. The trouble is this can persist for a long time, right? I mean, we could just have one of those, outsider kind of days or outlier kind of days where, we gap up a lot more, and then this doesn't get filled until the overnight session, after hours, which is, there's really nothing this weekend anyway. But just be careful just looking at the profile and then beginning to assume, okay, this can't finish like this. It is the case, when things settle down, that we start using this to build a game plan off of, whether it's to look for a reaction back down at these singles. Now that we have, make sure my drawing tool's on. Now that we have some value established, no real value, but there's two columns right here. So it's single prints down here, excess from here up. So, I mean, arguably, you'd look for value to develop within here, with a possibility of that occurring, and the first response back down at 770. So that is where you have this sort of single print gap, and a lot of times that's from stops being blown out. And if you think about where stops would be, where stops are left, it's just probably the case that you also have people that are in position, entities that are in position that would be looking to get out at break even if we actually came back down to the level. So, you know, we know 770 is an area to focus on, just focus our attention. If we begin to show signs of ranging, we'll look to possibly buy that level again. If we start looking like we're creating some kind of tail and trading back inside of, you know, where the small little bit of this is developed, so under 814, it's basically we would start developing underneath this high and start trading back within sort of the opening range, which is 811, 812. Then we would look for this to possibly begin to become more rotational, fall into sort of ranging behavior, and maybe establish value between there, and possibly, you know, if we have some kind of, and then I'll finish with this, maybe this happens during the stream. Let me just change this because I have my Heiken back on again just to not have so much noise. If we start trading back underneath this and we show signs of exhaustion up here, signs of absorption, you know, we'll look for a move, possibly a short back down to that 770 level. So here's daily VWAP, here's one standard deviation. You know, it's a really strong move right away. I mean, holding that band, holding that one standard deviation band is just a clear sign of that. I wouldn't step in the way of this right now. Point is, wouldn't step in the way, wouldn't try to predict how this TPO is going to unfold. You could be left with, again, a really strong day that leaves you with multiple gaps. That's happened numerous times. Single print, another area of value being established, which is a brief consolidation followed by another single print. And the next thing you know, you're another 100 points up, and you thought it was going to finish, you know, like this down here. But the reality is it finishes somewhere up here. So just be mindful of that. Yeah, so if you ask a question in the chat, I'm going to get to it. Don't continue to repeat the question. That is somewhat annoying. No, I don't want to insult you, but anyone know what's the website in the bottom left corners? Please help me. So this is Masari. So Masari Pro is probably one of the best all-encompassing data platforms for the crypto market. I gotta be honest, I forgot that I was subscribed to this. I just logged in yesterday and I realized I was still paying for the Pro. You could use CoinGecko if you want. CoinGecko's free. This is like a super suite. This is more like a Bloomberg terminal for crypto than CoinGecko. CoinGecko is, you know, it has surface level data. It's got some detail, but there's a ton of features on Masari. I'm not even gonna get into it, you know, but this is just the platform I have open right now, just to see how majors are performing, what we're looking at right now in terms of, you know, where we're sitting within the last day, the last couple hours, and how things are stacking up. Just get a big picture view. Not going to spend a lot of time on this. It was just the last screen that we had open. Let's see. I've been buying meme coins. All right. We have everything open we want. Close this out. We don't need this open. Okay. All right. So we'll ditch the music actually. All right. So first things first, we'll take a look at Coinalyze. So, all right. So just thoughts. I got to catch up real quick. XRP, first and foremost. Big picture, this is really good for the market, right? So this is, it's still in progress, right? It's still, I think, going to go to trial, and there's more to come from this. But this is a massive win for the market. So if this did not go favorably, it would be, you know, just barrage after barrage of negative news other than, you know, the BlackRock ETF. And a lot of the market would be still sitting in a precarious position with how to approach the upcoming cycle. I think that, and to clarify what I mean, I think that this kind of gives the green light to a lot of projects to, I guess, be a little bit more liberal with their approach coming to market. So this is a big win, not just for Ripple or XRP, but I think it's a big win for a lot of other projects that were possibly going to be deemed securities that honestly are a lot more attractive than Ripple. I mean, let's be honest. Ripple is a $40 billion valuation. It is, it's got a massive cult following. I get it. Like I talked about it yesterday on Runner's stream, where both of us, I longed the Coinbase news for a quick scalp. I thought I was a 6% scalp, just completely remembering things incorrectly. I quickly updated that because it was like a 3% move. But either way, it was in and out during the stream. He was in the short. It was a really good time. That's posted on Twitter. But, there's a lot of normies that had taken to Ripple, a lot of friends that I have that have taken to it, because it makes sense to them. It's the fastest crypto. They don't really know anything about the broader market. So this is one of the first things they're introduced to that's not, BTC or ETH, and is not, from a unit standpoint, very expensive, even though it is expensive. Because even though XRP is 77 cents, from a unit standpoint per XRP, it's a $40 billion valuation, right? So market cap is already inflated. During a bull market, this obviously can, inflate a lot more. But right now, I think that $1 is honestly probably going to be the top for a little bit. Maybe slightly over $1, $1.10, $1.03. I didn't even realize during the stream yesterday, we're talking as things are happening. We're both kind of focusing on the conversation and the DOMs. And I'm talking about, I think when Ripple approaches $1, that's probably a good area to start taking profit. I see it as a major shelling point. Maybe we Hundy roll it at, slightly above $1, but that'd be where I would want to take profit. Then Runner's saying, yeah, when Ripple is listed back on Coinbase, I think that's the optimal time to take profit. If both of those kind of work together, that'd be great. All of that happened during the stream. Didn't even realize it. We brushed up right under $1 where I would take profit, period. And then I ended up taking profit on my core positions after the stream. But and then also Coinbase listed it. So Gemini listed it and Coinbase listed it. And so it's kind of like, it'd sort of be like if Cardano, and I think Runner was saying this yesterday, if Cardano started delivering things to market, I mean, what other things would we have to price towards, would we be able to price in the future to buy and to get hopeful about? So I think this is great for the rest of the market. Do I think, like, people are starting to talk about Ripple going to prior all-time highs? I think people have to slow down a little bit. This is another really good thing, like the ETF, but it's better for other pairs, not Ripple necessarily. Me personally, in my opinion, I mean, I would want something that's even $1 billion valuation, even something like Solana, which is how big is Solana right now? Solana is 10 billion. It's a quarter of Ripple's valuation. Ripple is 42 billion, and Solana is clearly a much better project to get behind than XRP, right? So Solana has a big win from this decision as well. And I made the case about Solana a long time ago, sort of looking like the ETH fractal from 2015, 2016. And I still think that's the case. I think Solana, the one thing I've said about Solana for the last 6 months has been, I'm not like taking a massive position in Solana, but I think that it's definitely something I want to own a lot of. And that kind of sounds funny, but it's not like I have most of my weighting in Solana the way I have it in BTC and ETH. But I think that Solana is the darling of the last cycle, and I think that it is something that is growing. So it makes sense for it to perform well going into the next cycle. It's not like it's some obscure altcoin that was popular but has since like completely shit the bed, even though everything kind of shit the bed. I think you get my point. It's still carrying weight. So there's a lot taking place behind the scenes, put it that way. And so XRP, I mean, if you were able to get the jump on this, God bless. But I don't think that this is something that I would want to be like balls to the wall long in still. I mean, it makes sense if you want to leave a runner, but we're already like, again, it's not a bear market. I don't think it's a bear market anymore, right? I've said, for the longest time now, not the longest time, but the last few months, I said it back in June that I thought the bottom was going to be in Q4 2022, and that we were going to rise out of the bottom by Q2 2023. So I mean, all that's great and well, but I don't think you want to get too crazy right now. Like, this is not going to take off. Other things will. Could be wrong, but If I was looking to honestly buy the dip on XRP, one, I think that a move like this, not for nothing, probably retraces most of the move. So we haven't seen that yet. So something like this probably at least comes back down to, you know, I don't know if it's going to come back down all the way, but I'd be looking around 65. So right around 65. And if we sort of zoom in, look at profile, 65 is kind of right around where we have a gap. So if we're looking at a TPO chart, you have an area of singles that would be right around there. So I could see something where, I mean, honestly, a structure like this, and if we just look at this on low time frames, and you have a buildup in OI right now, you do have what looks like, it still looks like a spot bid, and it actually looks like it's being faded right now. So maybe we have one more push up, but then you're probably going to start to see long start to crowd into this, and you're going to get the inevitable. My point is you're going to get the inevitable wipe in OI from leverage that comes into this a little bit too late. I would want to buy XRP on a pullback close to those singles and on a significant amount of liquidations. So at least I would want to see that. And then you're going to get people that think it's going to completely retrace. I don't think that this has to come all the way back down to starting point. I think that's probably very unlikely. Again, this is a really positive thing for XRP, but in my opinion, I think it translates better in other pairs. So I think it makes sense to start thinking how this affects things that are a little bit smaller than XRP, like XLM, for example, Stellar, Solana. There's a bunch of other, and I'm since out of XLM as well. Yeah, I mentioned I was in it yesterday, and this was right after the decision. It was just a proxy play on XRP. Let's take a look at majors, actually, real quick. Let me just make sure I'm not missing anything. So honestly, while we're on it, one thing that does stand out is if you look at sort of how this move is translating from left to right, it's pretty much flat, clearly moving within a range. But if we look at the CVD, the perp CVD is pretty much down only, and open interest is on the way up. So that's something worth noting. You know, it's spot CVD, perp CVD diverging and leading up to this move. Same thing sort of happening. One of the few CVDs, honestly, that out of nowhere just made a turn from, I think it was down only, to pretty much up only, which was kind of odd because spot CVD really never does that. So it was basically, it looked like someone was picking up a good amount of XRP before that actually hit the tape. So nice front running, nice inside information. I don't know, a lot of confidence there. I guess that's all the way back in April, though. I mean, I don't know on what, but anyhow, there's plenty of that in markets. Let's take a look at BTC real quick. So BTC is something I'm a little bit worried about, honestly. Kind of hanging around the level. Same with ETH, losing 2K. This is something that I still think like can move up into the ETF, but I think that the ETF and ETF window to ETF listing, that zone is a sell the news zone. So how much more gas does this have in the tank before then, right? It could ultimately mean that we get a pullback around 32.5, and then we're still up into that event. But where we sit right now, as price is behaving, it's just looking a little sticky. So that is the prior yearly high. I mean, not for nothing, we are seeing a retest of that level. So if we look at this on the daily, that's the prior yearly high. You have an immediate retest. I mean, this level's been chopping for a bit. So normally you would want to see that either this is kind of like we're getting time acceptance through the level, like the fact that we're able to just form a range above here and we're able to spend time up here. But I mean, at some point you want to see the market get excited about higher prices, right? And it's just, I don't know, it doesn't jump off it doesn't jump out right now. I mean, it's pretty clear. It's still just hanging around this level, and it's kind of back inside of the range. I mean, as long as it's holding, and we'll go to a different chart. You don't want to lose the midpoint of this range at this point, considering we just took the high. So as long as we're holding like 30,500, the POC, it's possible that you still get more chop over time, but this thing does something like this, right? We've seen this happen before, where it's kind of melted upwards before a much larger push. And then maybe that's, I mean, I don't want to get too excited about this because I still think that something like this could set up. Like even if we pull back to 30,005 and then we continue to grind up and then you have that push, everyone gets excited just for a marginally higher move, and then you get something that looks like that. Deeper pullback, sets up at, 29, 28.5, and then next leg. So I think it just makes sense to still be cautious because this is still at a pretty sticky point. It's not getting away from this right now. The double top is always there. We are approaching it at, we're about, I think we're a month away from the first SEC decision. A lot of people are betting on it being the first one not being accepted. So the first go around, it not being denied, but being, what would the word be for? What would the word be? It would be postponed or kicked down the road, basically. What was I going to say? Something else before my nose got clogged. BTC. Let's take a look at BTC flow. So similar, in a similar vein to the XRP move, price sort of drifting down sideways above that prior yearly high, CVD down, spot up. But, the thing about the spot CVD is that there is a lot of, at a breakout level like this, it's possible to see that, yeah, you get a lot of excitement and a ton of aggressive buying in the spot market and get left with a CVD like this. And you do have to remember that when you are interpreting CVD, you are looking at just where things are sticky, right? If anything, you get an idea of overall levels of liquidity, where things are sticky on the chart. And this is down, spot CVD is up. So it's, it looks like, and it makes sense, right? It just makes sense for, how high we up for the year, what level we're at, what event we're going into. It makes sense that on the way up, you see that there's going to be people selling into this. So that's what it kind of looks like right now. It kind of looks like you have absorption in the spot market. So I would be careful about saying that this is a leading CVD and it's not, take it for face value, which looks like it is, at least right now that we have absorption in the tape. In terms of where we sit with levels of risk overall, I mentioned many times before, when we're stuck within a range, we kind of move within a range in positioning as well. So we're off the lows in open interest. We're kind of back towards that higher range. Nothing crazy though, but again, I mean, for the duration of this move from the 10th up, we have a 3% increase in price to where we are now. And in terms of open interest, we're about 2x that. So I imagine things are going to get crowded pretty soon. Just it's starting to get extended. Okay. This can all change very quickly, right? I mean, we remain bid and we continue to push these highs, then like I said, 32.5 kind of makes sense to me. But I just wouldn't want to buy that breakout candle. You've been around long enough. It's almost like, I don't want to use this as the example, but you get things like that often enough, right? Where you have this consolidation. It's already after a sizable move up. You're forgetting that markets do have to build and pull back over time. And then you get that final exhaustive move up, and then you get a really violent move on the way back down. In terms of the derivative market, So just from if we look at the options market, how much things have changed. So there's a lot more heat that's come back in. If you look at 25 delta skew, so the difference between the 25 delta put and call. So if the 25 delta call is trading with a higher implied volatility than the 25 delta put, you're going to have a positive skew. So it's just a sign that people are reaching for more leverage exposure through options, more upside with calls, some of the further out of the money calls, again, the 25 deltas. So this is a sign of optimism. For the longest time, we were trading in negative territory. Again, just an indication of positioning and sentiment. Volatility was crushed, though. But you could see that we're back in positive territory. There's a good amount of calls hitting the tape. In the last couple of days, though, well, we did have a spike in implied volatility. That's come down a little bit. So, I imagine that as we're getting towards these higher levels and buyers are starting to lift calls, I could imagine that, like I'm thinking that you're going to get some kind of pullback soon, that option sellers are still happy to sell vol up here. You can see how much implied volatility has changed over the course of the last month. We were flat, and this is showing you. So shadow IV, this is 28 days ago. So we've finally seen some volatility come back, but nothing crazy, honestly. So one thing to consider is that there's still things on the horizon or that are unseen, but we know that our potential catalysts. It's not unseen; it's rather that we don't know exactly when. Any kind of, or maybe there is a specific date and I just don't know it exactly right now. But if Coinbase wins against the SEC, that's another case of, if you're at the chart for, in the 5-minute window after that. I mean, the market. So real quick, let's just go to Twitter. So we'll go to, I referenced Zoomer and Summer yesterday. So I have Summer on alerts, and here's the, let's see, this was the post, right? Yep. So I had alerts within 5% of price, so my alert triggered either way. But this is the Zoomer's post. So if you got involved in the, this is minute 1, so 2, 3, 4, 5. If you got involved in minute 5 after, you're still looking at, let me zoom out. Let me change the time actually, because there's a lot more meat on that bone. So this is the first 5-minute candle. I mean, there was still a 72% move ahead of you, being late to that news, and being considerably late. The rest of the world hadn't woken up yet. I mentioned that, you don't want to close positions out until the rest of the world wakes up to that. But the coin news, I think, would be the same, honestly. I think that if there's a favorable outcome between the SEC and Coinbase, I think that this market does more or less the same thing. Exactly where that happens, whether that affects coin outright, whether that affects XRP again because they still go to trial, I don't know. I mean, I think the entire market gets lifted, and you want to be in sort of the fastest horses, which brings us to fastest horses. So Pepe, I mean, not for nothing. So we'll go to the other charts, a little bit more of a big picture view. Pepe, a really new coin, right? Shiny new object. This is the weekly chart. This is the daily chart. This is the 1 hour chart, just for a complete view. Pepe has not been listed on Coinbase yet. Someone was arguing yesterday that Coinbase listings are insignificant. I mean, any positive news right now is being interpreted by price, or is being interpreted in a way that is leading to people bidding. So it's different than coming off of a long period of things being bid, right? And, you know, something ripping for a while, so Pepe, and then being listed in the largest spot market. Now we've already had a reasonable size correction, and I think that Pepe becomes more or less one of the Doges in the market. It's going to be listed on Coinbase, and you have what looks like a very clean structure painting. So, I mean, if you want to argue that, whether that, you know, leads to upward prices or not, I think that at this point, any good news with a structure like this is going to be received positively by the market, and you have a clean level, right? So at this point, when I shared this, we were at the lows. So, I mean, right now, that's already been a pretty meaty move. We had a 17% move. You know, when I shared this idea, this was down here. And from a risk reward standpoint, you know, from a contextual risk reward standpoint, you could basically at this point just, or at least for myself, I'm just saying that, hey, if we're back below 14, then I'll just get out of the trade. There's no reason why we should be back below these lows. This structure should, if it's going to be really bullish, it shouldn't spend any time back under here. So, you know, if you take it quickly, you get that level of comfort. But at this point, I mean, you're left to start second guessing things. But Pepe, one of the fastest horses, I think that during the next cycle, that this has, you know, not put in the extent of price action higher. Very likely revisits the all-time high. I mean, if we look at Pepe from a market cap standpoint, I mean, it's not even $1 billion market cap. And if you look at just to compare, you know, Doge is a little bit more than, what is that, like at least a 10x. So I think it's reasonable to expect that Pepe can at least double, right? Yeah. Anyway, I started a challenge account, and I'll probably use the challenge account during the streams. So I don't know if I mentioned that during one of the last streams, but I'll probably be pulling that up from time to time. All right. Any questions, guys? We're still kind of at the same price as we were when the stream started. We'll just run through some charts that I'm looking at, and I'll let you guys take some questions. Ape, Ape again. Thinking in terms of going into the next cycle, which for me still means that between now and the end of the year, you'll probably have a lot of opportunities to take advantage of good prices. But starting to really realize that things are coming together. I mean, Larry Fink is drinking the Kool-Aid with respect to crypto now. You know, I think he said something like, I forgot what he said this morning. I want to pull up the Telegram. It was in a Telegram chat that I'm in, but I don't want to dox the Telegram. One sec. Let me go all the way back. BlackRock CEO Fink says crypto is an international asset. It will transcend any one currency and currency valuation. So, I mean, the guy is drinking the Kool-Aid. He's trying to list an ETF. I think he's trying to get people in the door right away. It makes sense, right? He's looking to capture fees. But listen, that's the biggest asset manager in the world, right? I keep using the phrase he's a kingmaker for a reason. So if we're going into the next cycle where suddenly there's a lot more clarity around this market, and then you have people that were not willing to get involved because there was not enough clarity, suddenly feeling like a lot of those discomforts are assuaged, then, I mean, it should be another amazing cycle. And I think you have to remember what happens every cycle, though. We get new pairs, we get new coins. So if something is kind of new from bear market on, I think it's going to do well. If you look at something that did really well last cycle, aside from Solana, I would say you might want to pull back a little bit. So last cycle, if something was a incredible performer last cycle, like let's say Axie Infinity, I don't know about it for next cycle. But if something was popular from sort of end of cycle on, And for example, ape, you know, I think you just still, you know, you haven't seen the extent of upward price discovery. So if we look at ape on the weekly, you have sort of this weekly swing failure pattern. So a change of course on the weekly usually leads to a good amount of overthrow. So I mean, this sort of $2 level right now is looking like a level maybe you don't even return to, right? To test the full extent of it. So if you look at this on, this is the daily chart, you know, a lot of times what you would want to do is at least get involved right around here. So any kind of return, and I know some people take their drawing seriously. I just give you the idea, right? So it's not going to move like that. But the point is, you know, anything that comes back down to this zone, if you see that it's starting to get rebid there, that might be it, right? You get sort of a 1, 2, 3 structure that looks like that. So, you know, that might be the turn, or that turn might develop over the course of a much larger range. But I would suspect that if things are really starting to turn for the better, that this is probably bottomed out, and you want to be, I personally want to be an ape. And I think it's reasonable to expect that at least this retests this gap up here. So the extent of that gap is like between 260 and 280. So I have that sort of zoned out. So whether or not that retests this and then comes up here, whether or not that starts consolidating up in the meat of that structure is something we'll have to keep an eye on. But I mean, if you start settling above this rotation, so that multi-week rotation, if we start settling above there, I would just bet on it extending the full extent of that. So ape, from a structural standpoint, I was looking at AVAX because the Solana AVAX relationship was strong for quite a while. I don't know if Triangle Coin is that significant moving forward. You know, it might be one of those things that, again, loses in popularity. I was looking at Axie from a security standpoint yesterday. I mean, not for nothing, Axie, if we look at it on the so I want to make sure I'm using perps because I want to have a view of open interest as well. I mean, as these things go up in price, you're going to see that more positioning is going to come back to the market. Open interest levels are going to go up naturally anyway. But yeah, a lot of these things are flatlined, so it's reasonable to even suspect that even if it's dog shit, it could go higher. So that is prior weekly low breakdown and what looks like a possible reclaim. So it's kind of clean right around this level, honestly. And this is something that could have been interpreted as a security. So I don't know. I could see it from this having getting a considerable push. But in terms of it being something that performs really well going to the next cycle, I don't know. But it is something that I was in position, and I've started to reevaluate and think where I want to place bids and where I want to get involved. But it has, like, you know, it's been kind of down only, but this could give it a spark. If it holds this weekly, then again, I think it's just a matter of a technical trade. Hedera was another one that benefit from the decision. And this looks like it's possibly bottoming. And just remember, garbage flies in this market too. So I'm not saying that things that performed well last cycle won't perform well at all. What I'm saying is I don't think they'll be like the darlings of this cycle. I think they'll just be regular crypto beta again. So just that weekly zone. If we look at it on the daily, you have sort of a higher low that's formed. Support, retest, came back down, found support, higher rebid. So a lot of times, you know, this is your rebid right here. So consolidation, return to that prior consolidation, and you get a rebid higher. And now you're flagging on the 1 hour chart. I think honestly, Hedera looks good from a sort of target standpoint. Just look where the meat of the activity is. So I could see this pushing up, retesting sort of that 61 level. I think Lido benefits as well. I was actually long Lido until this morning. So Solana, let's take a look at Solana because people are really getting like very excited. And I think so. One thing I mentioned was that you got to be careful taking advice from people on Twitter. When you see people saying the same thing over and over again, a bunch of people saying it too, just remember that most people actually in this market don't make money. Most people on CT don't make money. They're here. I would suspect that most people on CT, they make the money, but they give it back, and they're here because of the camaraderie and the sense of community. But the attrition rate in markets might be slightly different from one to the next, but for the most part, 90% of people are not going to find success trading. And maybe 90% of people will, 10% of people will be profitable for a year. And then if you look at them like 3 years later, it probably drops down to like 3%. So if you see a lot of people repeating the same shit, even sort of the same trading advice, I mean, if most people don't succeed at trading and you see that a lot of people, the masses are repeating the same advice, chances are it's probably garbage. There's a lot of like trading wisdom that's bullshit. One of them is, it's repeated often. It's, for example, the trend is your friend, never go against the trend. And actually some of the best trades in the world ever taken. I don't know what the in the world comment meant, but I guess everything is reduced to being in the world. Best trades on earth, we're actually going against the trend at the right point in time. So there's a lot of nuance. But anyhow, people are just saying, that you could basically spray and pray right now, and you just have to buy as many alts as possible and set it and forget it. Just be careful. I don't think we're looking at that right now. I think you still have to pick your shots. I think yesterday was a really good trading opportunity, but I'd just be mindful that I don't think this thing is going to just start making a new all-time high in the next month and a half. I still think we have some setbacks ahead. Solana, a little bit of a tangent. Solana, I've been saying for a long time. I had said this a while back that I think Solana can easily end up being the what I had said, was that Solana was where ETH was back here. So this is a while back when I was noticing similarities between Solana's chart and ETH earlier in and this is actually, I thought it was 2000. I was thinking 2016, 2017, but it was actually 2018. ETH is younger than BTC, but there was a little bit of a similarity between Solana high time frame chart and ETH in terms of the level of the pullback, where it stood in terms of its age. So what that would mean is, if that was going to perfectly rhyme, then it would imply that, that would imply that we're closer to here. That's clearly not the case. I think we're further along in our correction. But Solana just did put in a really strong move into high time frame resistance, and has been rejected so far. I wouldn't say, I don't want to hang on the idea of being rejected, other than it's sort of a reasonable area to see profit taking occur. But it's very clear that zone between 26 and 30 is the level that we have to flip into support. So this is the time when it's like buying spot, it's one thing, but taking leverage positions is a completely different animal. So if you're buying spot, there's no path dependence, by all means, if you're taking a 2-year view on Solana, a 1-year, 2-year view on Solana, I think you're going to do well. So I personally believe, and again, my spot decision making is different than my leverage decision making or futures decision making. But I personally believe that where we are in the cycle, that Solana does really well over the next year and a half. And that down here, this is the bottom for Solana. So if you could buy here, if you buy here, wherever you buy within here is going to be favorable a year from now. It's going to either be a 2-3x minimum. But, it's understand that if you're opening fresh positions here, you're going to have to probably weather some degree of drawdown or chop. And at least if you're doing that with the spot, in the spot market, you own those coins, right? There's no path dependency, there's no liquidation. But that is the level, right? That 26, 20, it's a zone. 26, 30 area is a level that you want to see flipped into support. So we look at Solana right now, just a little bit lower time frame. I mean, OI is up. I mean, open interest is up for this move. Looks like Solana is being faded somewhat, or just both sides committing. I don't think that where we are now with all of the coins is at their Pico top. So what I should say is that my opinion is that that was the first move yesterday, and that these things are going to do what they normally do, which is, you know, top out over the course of the next week if they're going to have some kind of pullback. So be careful assuming that when I think that this was a strong move and that we end up having a pullback, that it means that the move is done completely and they've each seen their Pico top. I think that it's likely that after a move like this, you bring in positioning on both sides, but you have some more short squeezes ahead, and then we start to see things get a little bit crowded on the long side. So is that 32 the Pico top for Solana for this move? I don't necessarily think so. You probably have another squared up. But if, you know, over the course, ideally what you want to see is we're able to spend at least a week, couple days above this 30 zone. So we have some work to do. I mean, in terms of, I don't know if these things are necessary to talk about right now, but you wouldn't want to see Solana losing something like 20 again, losing sort of the underside of this range. If you just imagine this as an area of balance that we took stops below, you have a really strong move. What you want to do is continue to see this bid at least above the midpoint of this prior range. So if you look at that, something like this, you know, you want to see that that POC is held, and that POC is right around 20. So just make that a bit clearer. There you go. And what else? I mean, listen, I don't know if there's a lot more to go over. Again, I think it's just an important sea change. I said this yesterday in Runner Stream. It's a really positive outcome for the market. I think that it's becoming if it wasn't already clear that you're going to get more cycles. I know a lot of people are doubtful, and I've been saying forever that the market's just going to have cycles, and it's, you know, maybe we're not going to have as crazy cycles as the prior, but there'll be new pairs that do, you know, 20, 50 X's, more than that. There'll be new favorites that gather attention and trend for months. The market will see higher prices. BTC will make a new all-time high. ETH will make a new all-time high. But these things take time to play out. If it wasn't clear a while back, I understand, because there was a lot of FUD, but that's what happens at the bottom, and you're starting to see it already, right? You see it in TradFi also. You see that, you know, whether it's asset managers or funds or, you know, banks, how they're rating stocks, they completely flip the switch. They go from like talking about the death of certain stocks to suddenly, you know, rating them higher 2 weeks later. Like Nvidia, I think Target now is updated to 550 or something like that. Let's take a look at Nvidia. Where's my Nvidia ticker? I mean, Nvidia made a new all-time high today. 474. I mean, Nvidia has been pretty much the OI, the AI play. I've said this before, and I've still, you know, haven't changed my mind. I think that buying Doge down here, picking up spot Doge for me is a no-brainer. I think Doge will continue to do well with each cycle. It's a fan favorite. It's lasting. It's Lindy. So this is the best risk reward, I think, high time frame that you're going to get. And I know we're not exactly at the bottom, because this is, in terms of like where the furthest invalidation is, you're going 25+%. But, you know, building a position in this region, I think, just pays off. I think you at least get a double over this. Out of this, excuse me. But yeah, you guys have any questions? No trades during the stream. I just took 2 trades this morning. I'm just up 10 points in the NQ. Like, not even after yesterday, honestly, a little bit exhausted. Yesterday was just nuts. Yesterday was a lot of money made in a short period of time. No, I'm not really big into meme coins. I mean, I was looking at the meme coin I had up earlier. I mean, because you guys probably saw it, is Cups. So it's a really small coin. I know the guy who's behind it, so it seems pretty cool. But it's a fucking small meme coin. I swear, like, it's not something you put any kind of serious money into. I don't even know what the market cap is, but it is really tiny. So just buyer beware if you buy any meme coins. It's a fucking lottery ticket. Yeah, I mean, so it's decent little response off this low. Let me see some real quick on it. That's this. Let me see if I can move this behind something. I'm just looking at XO. I mean, that 31.7 is POC today. So in a retest, you know, one of the better things you could see is that you build you build volume at the level and then are able to trade above that. So, you know, as I said, I think this thing can continue to move up to 32.5. I think, you know, I don't think that it's smart to try to top tick any of these right now. I mean, Axie, like I said, Hedera. I think all these have another push. Render as an AI coin. Let me just look at the chat again. Let's see. Let's go through the chat. Privacy coins, I think, like, listen, talking like I have 2 brain cells. Listen, I mean, I think privacy coins are like a honeypot sometimes. I just think that it's not something I would want to own much of. I believe in it, but if we're going to be moving into this environment where there's more regulation, there's more transparency, you see what happened to Monero. It got delisted from all major exchanges. I don't know a whole lot about privacy coins. I don't look into them. I'm not really interested in them, so I'm probably the wrong person to ask. Do I believe in it? Yeah, but do I have any interest in any of them in particular? No. I think Optimism and ARB will do well next cycle. Yeah, I do. I mean, if we just look at Optimism in terms of history. See, it's one of the pairs that was not around during last cycle. So I think that anything that's come after last cycle has a really strong fighting chance. Even if it's a dog shit project, honestly. If it doesn't have a lot of price history and it doesn't have any kind of major blow off ugly ass top for people to focus on and figure that and wonder if they're ever going to get to that point again, then people only see potential. So, yeah. No, I don't really use gamma exposure in BTC, or it's not something I focus too much on. I don't think like the options market is often big enough to see that have much of an effect on the underlying. Like there's been periods where we've had a significant amount of open interest during certain expiries, but I think at this point, like to always focus on it is not that useful. You know, if in legacy markets, obviously it plays a massive role. Things like GME come to mind. You know, when you have under options writers and market makers that are short a bunch of calls and the market continues to rip up, you know, they have to go into the market and actually start lifting to hedge their calls, to hedge what they wrote. So, you know, it ends up being the case that it adds a lot of fuel to the fire. There's been periods like that with BTC, like going back to, I think it was last expiration, there was a significant amount of open interest, and I think 31.5 was the level, and we just couldn't get above it, and that was the only level where there was a significant amount of gamma exposure. So yeah, I think it'll grow in significance moving forward as the options market grows and as we see more, you know, a larger buildup of open interest over time and actual capital behind positions, not just like things that are, you know, have no real capital behind them and are far out of the money, and OI that's going to expire for the most part worthless. But yeah, it's not something I use too much with BTC. And as far as using it intraday, trading the ES and trading the NQ, no, I don't focus too much on it. If we have a big OPEX, that's something to be aware of, right? Just price behavior going into OPEX, how things tend to free up depending on, you know, if the market has been kind of relatively pinned in an area, but it's not something I try to look too much into. I think for single names, it's something you want to be really aware of. So if you start to see narratives develop on social media about, you know, things that are similar situations to GME and GameStop, it's kind of a, you know, I think it's a case where you want to add fuel to that fire, right? Because that can be really reflexive. But yeah. Take on casino coins. I don't know a whole lot about Unibot. I tell you, like I've always been a BTC trader and then ETH, and then I'll trade momentum when it's there. But I don't know a whole lot about Unibot. I miss that. You know, it's this period in the year during summer months. It's always lighter for me. Like I am present, but I'm winging it. I got to tell you, I'm doing really well winging it. But I know that I'm winging it because like I'm trading a couple different accounts right now. I'm trading crypto. I'm trading legacy futures and spot. So excuse me, legacy futures and brokerage account. So stock account, swing accounts, and I'm trading intraday ES and NQ futures. My ES intraday NQ futures account, ES. Oh God, I'm getting my tongue tied. My intraday trading, the ES and the NQ is like, it's probably like flat because I'll make a lot. I'll give it back. I'm just punting. I have my daughter right now. She's 7 months old. I'm really enjoying this summer. I'm not really 100% committed to the market. So a lot of things are honestly flying past me that are just going under my radar, undetected. Unibot's one of them. I don't really have my ear to the ground right now with everything taking place. Could be a mistake. But again, I'm doing really well. I kind of made a plan that I wouldn't take things too seriously over the summer. I'll try to be present when the market's moving, but come Labor Day is always like, that's the level that's the time I look forward to. Summer's done. You just have to take advantage of the good weather when you have it. And you can't get too, listen, I've found a lot of success in this market. I guess I have the luxury to take time off and I just want to. So, but as far as Rollbit, RL, listen, Rollbit gets a lot of hate. I hated on Rollbit to begin with too. It's a binary options exchange. So, I mean, it's not a futures exchange. It keeps saying futures. It's not futures. It's binary options basically. So the convexity works against you. it absolutely has a place for people that scalp 100%, right? But that implies for really good traders. If you're not good, you're going to get your ass handed to you more than you would on a centralized exchange, because most people will just reach for that larger leverage amount, that higher leverage amount. It's not like 1,000x leverage is unheard of. There's 4x brokers that offer 500, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. So it is, it's crazy, but it's a different asset though. You're trading something that you don't even need leverage for. But so I hated on Rollbit, but I never used it. And then finally I used it, and I was like, oh, this is actually pretty fun. It's got a nice UI. Mind you, I'm not taking a deal with Rollbit. So it's gaining in popularity. I think that it's something that'll probably grow. Anyone who takes a deal with them, I have nothing against them whatsoever. It's completely reasonable to get paid, especially if if you've built a brand and you're looking to make money off of that brand, whatever. I mean, all the better to you. I think the coin probably ends up doing well, right? As the exchange grows in popularity, and it seems like it is. It's not an exchange though; it's a casino. It'll grow in popularity, whatever you want to call it. Don't get hung up on semantics. Yeah, I think the coin will do well. I don't own any Rollbit. I use the exchange for a week. I used the casino for a week, I should say, and then I took my money off of it. It's not my cup of tea. I prefer a limit order book. I prefer a different setup. So yeah, the squeeze metrics is great. Knowing about how that works, so knowing about short gamma, long gamma, that is something that I think you should know about, because that phenomena takes place in this market, and is especially apparent during times of excess, and when we're in a bull market, we'll see that really play to options market makers' disadvantage, and to retail's advantage if you can spot sort of the juicy setup where that is the case. I think it'll probably be presumed a lot more than it is actually apparent. Like, you'll probably see a lot of things you'll see a lot of single names and groups like Wall Street Bets try to, I guess, manufacture that narrative and say it's just, the situation is there where, that, they're short gamma, but, you'll see it in the price action anyway. No, so I don't want to give my opinion on Rollbit token because I have never really looked at it. We'll take a look at it, but it's just a chart that I haven't looked at. So we're just going to look at it from a technical standpoint, which is probably unfair because it's so new. And, well, first things first, just how big is it? So anything that's an exchange token has a lot of room to grow, right? Where would I find let's see. I mentioned Phemex is listing an exchange token. I'm going to buy it. I just know I'm going to buy it because exchange tokens, at a minimum, they tend to do at least a 3x. So if it's at 0 now, it's more often than not the case you're going to get at least a 3x. And exchange tokens have obviously surpassed that by multiples. But any new exchange that has a token, I think, has a really strong chance of doing well. So this is only a $250 million market cap coin token. I mean, it's an exchange token. I mean, what are the other exchange tokens out there? OKB, right? This was up only for a while. This outperformed everything during the bear market. I mean, look, this is going back to a new all-time high, right? This year, February 2023. Whole bear market, just up only. Never bought it like a dumbass. So this is a $2.6 billion market cap coin. What else? Let's say BNB, $40 billion, right? Let's say Bybit. Let's go to Bybit. It's 3x what Roll Bitcoin is. At its peak, it was, I mean, let's go by market cap. At its peak, it is at least a 5x, right? So, I mean, it's going to hit over $1 billion. So can you weather the volatility? So it's kind of like trades like this. Like, so for example, the Phemex token, I'm just going to buy it and hold out. I'm going to buy it after I watch price action, probably for a week, and, you know, make sure it's not completely gimmicky or something like that, as if that means anything, right? It's still probably going to be the case. I may be buying it just on the sheer fact alone that it's likely to do at least a 2x. So if you have a setup where you know we're going into a new cycle, which I think is very clear, you have an exchange token of an exchange that is gaining a ton of popularity. It is risky, right? Because it's doing a lot of things that are risky. But that's to the ethos of crypto, which is why no one should be surprised that people take risks in promoting in this market, because they're taking risks by being here. But so going into a new cycle, in casino that a lot of people like, a lot of people behind it, and the token is only $250 million. You don't have to be a brain surgeon or an amazing trader or an investor to know that that's underpriced for a new cycle. So yeah, I probably will look at it now after that whole thesis. That, you know, I think that it's one thing that you want to just buy spot and not focus on. You know, set it and forget it. So yeah. What other exchanges, right? I mean, KuCoin. So KuCoin token. That market cap at peak was 2 billion, right? Easy. It's got to be, Rollbit's got to be an easy play. So why isn't Rollbit easier right now? It's probably because it's not accessible. So markets, where are you going to buy it? No centralized exchanges. Will it be listed on centralized exchanges? I would say with near certainty, absolutely. I mean, let's look at KuCoin, for example. OKB might be the exception. Sorry, what you hear is my front camera telling me that something is at the door. Okay, so this is on a couple different exchanges. Actually, no, that's, yes, okay. Let's see, BitDAO. See, these actually might be pretty limited in terms of the exchanges they're on. You know, BNB's on everything. No, BitDAO is on major exchanges. So, I mean, you get the idea, right? Probably going to wrap it up, though, guys. It's 11:15. Uneventful stream, but hopefully you guys took something from that. Have a great weekend. I will see you guys all on Monday. Make sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. And, yeah, till next time. Yeah, Rollbit is B-Book. So you're trading against the exchange. It's a binary option. But, I mean, I just call it as it is. It's a binary option, but it's going to go up. But you just have to know what you're working with. All right, guys. Adios.